that. And also with us on air is retired fire captain Bob Lyon. And Bob, just as Megan was giving us the weather, we saw in real time a helo make a water drop on a huge inferno of flames, a home fully engulfed. And almost as quickly as the water laid down, the flames shot back up. The fuel source here seems to really be just keeping this fire in some of the areas, not in the one we're looking at now, but just a little ways away in these homes. There's a lot of fuel here.
Yeah, exactly. And, once it gets into structural areas like motorhome or mobile homes like those, then you start getting into plastics. You've got vehicles there that have gasoline in them. You have people that have, gas-powered equipment where they might have gas cans laying around, plastic furniture, and lots of sources. So water drop from the helicopter is great to try to slow it down, but in areas like that, it's really tough to try to get a knockdown until they get, actual crews in there to get at the actual base of the fire, because you're just going to slow it down with those, which is super helpful, and they have to do that. But right now they're probably trying to get their equipment in there. And like you told you, the difficulty there is very narrow streets and mobile home parks. And that's a very big mobile home park, and it's difficult to get around in there. So the rigs have to be careful, too, because they don't want to get in a spot where they're going to get trapped back there themselves. So there's quite a bit going on. And with the heat conditions we've got, like Megan mentioned, the wind and the heat, firefighter fatigue can come into play pretty quickly. So you want to make sure you get a lot of personnel in there to turn them over quickly so you don't have firefighters dropping on the line. They're prepared for this, and they work out all the time, and they're in great condition. In Southern California, firefighters pretty well prepared to fight in these kind of conditions. But it doesn't really change the fact that it's really hot out there, and it is very draining on you when you're out there.
And we see the crews. They are on the ground. They're right in front of this structure that's on fire. We're looking at Lakeside in the Los Coches area. This is the Monterey Mobile Lounge, and it's the mobile home park with about 118 sites. This being a structure in that area, it could be a home. And we see there an RV right out in front. We see those crews. We've seen fire drops on this particular one. And as you've been describing, wow, we just saw something just absolutely explode just behind the house. On air as they're trying to fight the front side, the back side just exploded. According to the fire personnel on scene, they are telling us they've made good progress where the fire started, but it blew to these other locations. And that's what they're battling right now. And that's what we see. And at the top of our screen, you can almost not see it through the black smoke, but you see firefighters on a deck of a house just to the north of where we're looking at now. Another water drop in the yard. Didn't hit the flames directly, but then they've got the fire truck nearby. This one really seems to be a tough one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's probably like one of the more difficult scenarios that firefighters face, because you have structures involved, you've got vehicles that could be involved, RVs, like you said, and you've got brush. So you've got all the conditions there, and there are different types of firefighting you would use on each of those, but you have to kind of combine it because you've got all those things involved. So, I mean, they've studied for this, they've practiced for all this, so they've got a good hand on what they're supposed to do, but actually completing all those tasks is a lot of work and very difficult, and the incident commanders have a lot on their plate to try to get this thing under control.
They certainly do. And Bob Lyon, retired fire captain, we want you to hear this as well as you stay on air, because on the phone with us, we have Lakeside Fire District Jeremy Davis joining us. Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you give us an update of the situation right now as we're watching just one of these fires right now, and it's a virtual inferno?
Yeah, you described it perfectly. It's we've made some progress near the origin of the fire. It's the primary residence. That fire's been knocked down. They're doing some extensive mop-up around 4 additional homes in the area. But the fire did spread towards the east and has burned a few additional homes in that area. A few cars have been burnt, and the explosions you're seeing are propane tanks in the backyard for their barbecues.
So that's the explosions that we see. Are you hearing about injuries? We were told, we don't know how severe, but there may be some injuries.
Yeah, there are injuries. I don't know the extent of the injuries, but we do have a couple of residents with some burn injuries at this time.
It doesn't appear from what we can see from Sky 10 that there are a ton of cars on the narrow roads kind of headed toward, either Viejas Casino to the evacuation center. What do you think the plan is, and are we just not seeing it? It doesn't seem like people are on the move in the area.
There are a lot of cars on the surface streets out here. The roads are pretty much, they're at a standstill because there's so much traffic trying to evacuate out that it appears like it's impossible to evacuate right now just with the number of cars. But Sheriff's is doing a great job of moving them through the intersection.
And what do you want people to know then right now?
Avoid the area if you can. It's a fast-moving, ever-changing incident. And we're trying to get a bunch of residents out of the neighborhood that want to evacuate, and incoming traffic is just going to hold them up.
And there to the right of our screen, we are able to see some of that traffic just to the right. Tell us about the spot fires that you mentioned, the original area where it broke out. Pretty good situation now, but it's these spot fires.
Yeah, correct. Yes, I was on one of the streets, the Calle Risa area, and the embers were dropping into the backyards where a lot of homeowners had some dry combustible materials, and that stuff was catching on fires with the embers, probably about a quarter mile in front of the fire itself.
Wow. And tell us, we know this is north of the 8, Los Coches, in Lakeside, east of the 67. Can you pinpoint, more specifically, like what streets where the actual mobile homes are affected?
East Los Coches Road and Highway Business 8 is one, and that is going to be the northwest section of the fire, and it's spread east from there towards East Los Coches over to Villa de Luz. Sorry about that.
Villa de la what? De Luz?
Villa de Luz.
De Luz. And are you seeing that the situation to get the people where they need to be is happening? You mentioned traffic, but are people being able to get out of the direct area where the main part of these flames are?
Yes, they are. It's the immediate affected area. We are getting residents out of there. It's just as we get closer to Los Coches and Interstate 8 and Business 8, that's where they're kind of bottlenecking from all the neighborhoods coming together. But the immediate affected area, the danger area, we are getting residents out of that area.
And we see the crews on the ground. We see the planes, the helos. Tell us about the firepower on this blaze right now.
Yeah, we've got, from what I can see, at least 3 helicopters making drops on the east end of the mobile home park where it meets the residential area. And we've got 2 air tankers that I've seen so far making drops. And they're doing a good job of protecting the homes that aren't affected yet from the advancing fire.
And we know Lake Jennings is not far. What are the water sources in that area?
Lake Jennings is our best water source. It's a huge reservoir with plenty of water for us. And then we do have a neighborhood that has plenty of fire hydrants that are providing plenty of water at this time.
And just give us what you need the public to know right now before we let you go, Jeremy. We really appreciate it.
Again, if you could stay out of the neighborhood, please stay out of the neighborhood. It's residents only, and we're trying to get everybody out of the neighborhood in these affected areas.
And we see right there the fire crews dragging the hoses, trying to get closer to a really stubborn fire. Several water drops have gone on this one house. The crews are right there trying to get the hoses on it. You talked about propane tanks. It seems like there's a lot of combustible things in the yards, at least in this one particular case.
Yeah, it's typical of most homes that you have your patio furniture, your barbecues, and just whatever else you have for your own comfort. It's just in incidences like this, a lot of that stuff becomes fuel for the fire.
It certainly is, and we appreciate Jeremy Davis with Lakeside Fire Protection District. Thanks for joining us and giving an update on this.
You're welcome.
We're continuing to cover the Los Coches fire here in Lakeside. It's the Monterey Mobile Park area with about 118 sites. It is a 55 and over community. There are some injuries, but we don't know the severity of those. And some of the problem that we've seen, and we see those crews really going into that green belt there in the canyon to try to get on the other side of this home. They're surrounding it, and there's another water drop. Just a lot of fuel on this particular home. And we're just hitting our 4 o'clock newscast. For the people joining us, we're live covering a fire in Lakeside. This is Los Coches. This is north of the 8. Another explosion in that yard. This is about the third explosion. There are firefighters right in that area. So much fuel, whether it's propane tanks, whatever we might be seeing. And Bob Lyons, a retired fire captain, has been kind of giving us a play-by-play. And if you can see this, Bob, what an incredible landscape we're looking at now with fire crews right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I've got a visual, and I'm watching your live updates on it. And yeah, exactly. And just like Jeremy said, you know, people have all kinds of things in their yard. The propane tanks are a real danger to the firefighters. But if you think about your own property, you know, almost everybody's got a propane barbecue in their backyard of some sort, and those tanks become dangerous once they're exposed to fire. And in this situation, you've got all that brush in there, and you can see like that. I can see the explosion. That was probably a propane tank going off. So that makes it difficult for the firefighters because they have to kind of back up and stay back a little bit for their own safety and try to squirt the water from a little further away. But you can see those engines that are just to the north of it. They probably have a pretty good water source over there, probably hydrants available, and the helicopters are kind of keeping it at bay while trying to keep it from getting even worse than it is. So they're all doing the best they can right now. They probably got more equipment coming. Like I said, the dangers they have is the exploding propane tanks, got a lot of combustibles in there, and the heat and the weather are going to be very difficult for people. Very taxing on the firefighters. You're wearing all that gear. You're slugging it around up and down hills, and it's pretty difficult for people to do for very long.
Yeah, almost 90 degrees, Megan Perry tracking that right now. And we just see these firefighters on all sides on the ground on this particular house. This is probably the 4th or 5th helo we've seen do a drop. If there isn't another explosion, it seems like it might be in a better place than it was 5 minutes ago, but at least 3 times after the major house was fully engulfed, we've seen huge, massive explosions in the yard of this home. There's part of the team that's up there firefighting has been strictly on this particular structure.
Yeah, and a lot of buildings in East County are supplied with propane tanks, and they can be anywhere from 250 gallons to 500 gallons for residential. So that's a lot of propane, a lot of potential for an explosion, besides the normal 5 to 10 gallon size ones that you have for your barbecue. But the firefighters, the good news is you can see all the pink on the ground there. That was where where a fixed wing aircraft dropped a retardant load, and you can tell that area where they dropped it at is kind of preventing the fire from extending beyond that. So the firefighters will get a better opportunity to get their hoses on that and get that thing extinguished. And they're doing a good job coordinating everything. They've got the aerial drops from the helicopters are coming in. I'm sure they're over at Lake Jennings there and picking up their water source and bringing it back. So, you know, at least at this point, from what I can see, it looks like, you know, other than the fire still going, it looks like they have a good handle on it. It's going to be a while before they get it out, but at least right now they can't relax yet, of course. But it looks to be making good progress on their part.
Yeah, let's hope there are no more explosions, but it's not often that we have such a close-up view and just a repeated symphony almost of the helicopter just dropping, making those water drops, and you see the just absolute plume of white smoke, which was a great sign because they've really had a tough battle with this particular house. And here it comes again. I mean, it's been every 30 seconds for a while.
Yeah, I was on helicopters for a while, and it's quite a dance that they do because as each one comes in, it has to be coordinated. One will make a drop. They know where they're at. The air attack will issue them in, and then in the meantime, they're going over to the lake. So it's kind of like this well-orchestrated dance where they'll go over to the lake, they'll drop into the lake, they'll be getting their water. Next helicopter, they'll take off, come to the fire, and the next helicopter will go into the water source, start taking on water. And they just kind of keep going in a big circle around it, and that's why you'll see them just keep going one after the other.
And good point that you made is that we saw the fire retardant kind of make a perimeter around this particular house, and then the water drops within that perimeter. That's a real coordination to kind of be able to snuff that fire out and keep it from hitting all those other homes nearby.
Yeah, absolutely. And, all the firefighters, they're doing a great job out there. And this has all been planned out before. They practice this. They have drills all the time. So it doesn't replace the real thing, which is what they're facing today. But they're doing a great job at it. And you can tell that where the retardant drop was made was at the head of the fire, that it was headed eastbound. So that slowed the progress of the fire and allowed the firefighters to kind of get in there and get a handle on it. So now they're just dealing with the fire that they have in front of them. But I'm sure they have other units that are probably further east that are looking just in case there's any more spot fires caused by this. But you can kind of tell by the direction of the smoke, that's kind of whichever way the wind's blowing, it's obviously blowing the fire that way. So that would be where your spot fires would be going, is wherever that smoke's going, that's where you're going to be looking for spot fires.